Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the budget decision meeting of the Transportation and Environment Subcommittee of Appropriations. We've done a lot of work this session, and the documents that are before you represent all of the work that we did and the decisions that we will confirm now by working with our analyst, and she will go through this with us. And so I'm going to turn it over to Slovakia Mujel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In front of you, you have a white packet and pink packet. We'll start with the white one, and the analyst will refer to the pink one as we need to. The first agency is Public Service Commission. It's on page 1 of the white packet. And DLS recommended reducing funds to increase the turnover expectancy to 7.9%. The agency disagreed, and Senate modified. Senate modified to reduce funds by $350,000 and to make the turnover expectancy 6.4%.
And is there a motion on this action?
Motion to adopt?
Reject.
Reject, sorry.
Wait, we are rejecting both the administration's recommendation
Oh, I see.
and the Senate, correct? Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Recommendation 2 is a committee narrative requesting a report on use of funds transferred from the dedicated purpose account. The agency did not respond to this request, and the Senate rejected.
Motion to concur?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion passes.
Recommendation 3 on page 2 is a committee narrative requesting report on arrearage and termination data. The agency did not respond, and Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Moving to Office of People's Counsel on page 3, DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred, and Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
On page 4, the Chesapeake Bay overview. The Chesapeake Bay overview is a non-budgeted review. The agency response with no response, and the Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Maryland Energy Administration starts on page 5. The first recommendation is a language restricting funds pending submission of a report on MEA's funding. The agency concurred, and Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation 2 on page 6 is a language restricting funds pending submission of a report on actual expenditures and fund cancellations. The agency concurred, and Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Recommendation 3 on page 8 is a language making a portion of appropriation in MEA contingent on expansion of allowable uses. The agency did not respond. Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation 4 on page 8 is a committee narrative requesting Strategic Energy Investment Fund revenue spending and fund balance. The agency did not respond, and Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Recommendation 5 on page 10 is a committee narrative requesting report on federal funding for energy-related purposes. The agency did not respond, and Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation 6 on page 11 is a committee narrative requesting a report on uses of ACP revenues in SEEF. The agency did not respond and Senate adopted. However, there is an additional page for your consideration in the pink packet. On page 2, this modification makes changes to specify that 100 million of SEEF revenue is allocated for reverse auction grant program.
Motion to modify and adopt the additional page.
And before we take the vote, let's just make sure everyone is on page 2 of the pink packet and is able to look at that last paragraph and is comfortable. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
There is one more additional page for your consideration in the pink packet, page 1. This is a committee narrative requesting a report providing current and proposed locations of all data centers in the state.
Motion to adopt the additional page.
Who would like to volunteer as the person who wrote this?
Me.
Thank you. Delegate Edelson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Turning back to your white packet on page 12, in the Department of Planning, these two actions are related. DLS had recommended adding clarifying the contingent language so that it more closely matches the applicable BRFA provision. On item 1 affects the general fund appropriation. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item 2
Motion
affects-
passes.
Item 2 affects the special fund appropriation. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
On the following page, item 3, the Senate adopted an additional action, language restricting funds pending a report on permits that impact the business community. If you turn back to your pink packet on page 3, there is a modification to this language. This just adds the Maryland Municipal League to the list of organizations that MDP should consult with in developing its report.
Motion to concur and adopt the additional page with the additional important language.
And we have Delegate Spiegel to thank for that. Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Continuing in your packet, there are a couple more additional pages on page 4 of the pink packet. This language restricts funds pending a report on split rate or land value taxes adjacent to rail stations.
Motion to adopt the additional pages.
And this was yes, thank you, Delegate Stewart. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, and then on page 6 of the pink packet, this is narrative requesting a report on the utilization of the historic revitalization tax credit.
Motion to adopt additional page.
I believe this is Delegate Spiegel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Ms. Norton, are you next?
Yes, I just did.
Oh, you're
Please do not press.
microphone. There you go. Yeah.
Back in the white packet on page 15, we have Maryland Automobile Insurance Fund. The first recommendation is for a narrative for financial statements for the insured and uninsured division. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted. But in the pink packet on page 7, we have modified narrative of this recommendation asking for quarterly reports as opposed to just one.
Motion to adopt the modification with the additional page in the pink packet.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Back in the white packet, still on page 15, was a recommendation for a report from the insured division. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Back in the pink packet is a additional page on page 8 for a report for claims, for the claims in the uninsured division.
Motion to adopt the additional page?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Back in the white packet on page 17 is the Maryland Insurance Administration. The recommendation was a narrative for insurance tracking system project status. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Don't forget to vote, folks.
Aye.
Motion passes.
On page 18 is action from the first house requesting report on Affordable Care Act segregated account funding, which they adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 19 of the white packet is the Canal Place Preservation and Development Authority. DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Beginning page 20 is the Department of Information Technology. The first recommendation was to delete general funds for expedited projects. The agency concurred. However, the supplement budget as introduced reduces funds for expedited projects, and the Senate rejected.
Motion to concur?
With,
The Senate rejections and modify per the supplemental budget? Okay,
is that correct?
I think so.
Do we have a second? Yes, it is correct. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Recommendation number 2 is to delete general funds for the Maryland Department of Health's Medicaid Pharmacy Benefits Electronic Claims System Major IT project. The agency concurred in part, requesting it be reduced by 50%. However, the Senate modified this recommendation to reduce by $1.25 million in order to account for the expected 90% federal fund match for this project. The Senate adopted the modifications.
Motion to concur with the Senate modification?
Let me just back up on this one. We did not modify this, correct?
No, this was the Senate modification.
Yes,
the
and so we
1.25.
are concurring with that modification.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Turning to page 21, recommendation number 3 is to delete general funds for DeWitt's statewide permitting platform Measure IT project because the ITPR was not submitted. The agency disagreed. The Senate adopted.
Motion to concur?
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation number 4 and 5 are related. These recommendations increase turnover expectancy rates for 11 new positions. The agency concurred for both of these recommendations, and the Senate adopted both of the recommendations.
Motion to concur in recommendations 4 and 5.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation number 6 is a narrative requesting a report on artificial intelligence implementation. The agency concurred. The Senate rejected.
Motion move to concur?
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, turning to page 22, recommendation number 7 is a narrative requesting a report on Maryland benefits. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted. However, there is a modification in page 9 of the pink packet. This modifies the narrative language to include information on the reasons for delay in the transition of the project and also requests information on any anticipated cost overruns for the project.
We want to thank Vice Chair Kaiser for this additional information. And do we have a motion?
Motion to concur and modify with the additional page, adopt the additional page.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 23 is recommendation number 8. This request DO-IT to submit information on out-year funding and cost estimates for major IT projects with the governor's fiscal 2028 budget books. The agency disagreed. The Senate adopted.
Motion to concur.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Turning to page 24, recommendation number 9 is an additional first house action. This is a back of the bill section that restricts funds pending submission of a joint report from DO-IT and DGS on AI implementation. The Senate adopted.
Motion to concur.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation number 10 on page 25 and 26 is an additional first house action. This is a narrative requesting a report on agency artificial intelligence utilization. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Department of Transportation begins on page 27. The first recommendation is annual budget language requesting notification of changes to the capital program. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 29 is the Secretary's Office. The recommendation is annual language. For the special funds and operating grants and aid, the agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 30 is additional first house action, restricting funds pending report on toll billing and collection issues at the Transportation Authority. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
This one is something that we've been struggling with for a few years. And we have had language in the MDTA budget, but this year we want to put some extra teeth behind it. So we're withholding money and we're putting it in the Secretary's office to see if we can get more action on collecting these tolls. And so I want to thank all of you who've been following this here on the committee. And did I say all those in favor already? No. Did you make a motion?
I did.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 31 is an additional first house action for narrative on apprenticeships within MDOT. They adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Additional item 4 is a narrative on disadvantaged business enterprise recertification. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 33 is the Secretary's Office Paygo Capital. It's annual language for the CTP. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 34 is WMATA's operating budget. It was concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 35 is WMATA's capital Paygo. The recommendation was to concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 36 for MDOT debt service requirements. Recommendation number 1 is annual language setting debt limits and requiring notification to the budget committees. Agency concurred and Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 38, recommendation number 2 is annual language requesting reports on non-traditional debt. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 39 is the State Highway Administration. DLS recommendation was for report on federal funding reimbursement. In the pink packet, we have a modification of the narrative asking for 2 reports and additional information.
What page is that pink packet?
10.
Let's make sure just make sure everybody has page 10, and go ahead.
Move to modify with the additional language in page 10.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Back in the white packet, still on page 39, recommendation for narrative for traffic safety plan report. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 40, no, yep, that's it, sorry.
Okay. Page 41 for the Maryland Port Administration, recommendation number 1 is narrative requesting quarterly reports on the Howard Street Tunnel project. Agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation number 2 on page 41 is narrative requesting reports on federal funds. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted. However, on page 11 of the pink packet, there is a slight modification to this language, which includes language specifying the funding information the report should contain.
Move to modify with the additional language on page 11 of the pink pages.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 42, page 43 in the white packet for the Port Administration capital budget. Our recommendation was to concur. Agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 44, we had motor vehicle administration. The recommendation was to concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 45, MVA PAYGO capital. The recommendations concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 46 for the Maryland Transit Administration. Recommendation number 1 was to delete 5 new apprenticeship positions. The agency disagreed and the Senate rejected.
Move to concur in the rejection.
This was one we vehemently agreed with the Senate, so we're happy to support it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Recommendation number 2 on page 46 is narrative requesting bi-monthly status reports on the Purple Line light rail project. Agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's take a one. Please proceed.
All right, we are on page 47 of the white packet. Recommendation number 3 is narrative requesting reports on the Red Line project. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted. However, in the pink packet on page 14, there is modified narrative which would instead request a report on both the Red Line and the Be More bus plan project and the planned and potential synergies between the two.
Move to modify with the additional language on page 14 of the pink pages.
And this was something the committee worked on, especially Delegate Edelson, and we just think it'll provide us with more information about Baltimore's overall transportation plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Turning to page 15 of the pink packet, there's an additional piece of committee narrative requesting bi-monthly status reports on the Red Line.
Move to adopt.
And this was the Senate, right? No, was it ours? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, still in the pink packet, if you turn to page number 12, we have a couple other items of language for MTA. On page 12, this is language which restricts funds pending the receipt of report on real-time audible and text-based announcement equipment in MTA vehicles.
Move to adopt the additional language on page 12.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 13 of the pink packet, there is an additional language restricting funds pending the receipt of a report from MTA on the work group on curb space management.
Sorry, this is on page
13.
13.
Yeah, move to adopt the additional narrative on page 14.
And we'd like to thank Delegate Lewis for this ad, and we think it's an important one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Turning back to the white packet, page number 48, there is one additional action taken by the Senate. The Senate adopted language restricting funds for the purpose of Purple Line marketing.
Move to reject.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 49, for the MTA capital budget, recommendation was to concur. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 50, we had Maryland Aviation Administration. The recommendation was to concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred. The Senate rejected and adopted language restricting funds pending report on noise abatement at Martin State Airport.
Move to concur in the Senate rejection. An additional language.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 51 is Maryland Aviation Paygo Capital. The recommendations concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 52 for the Maryland Transportation Authority, the recommendation was narrative requesting reports on the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 53 for the MDTA capital program, recommendation was to concur. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 54 is the Department of Natural Resources. There are a couple of actions here that are linked. They were a couple pieces of narrative that the Senate has condensed into one piece of narrative, and I'll walk you through that. First recommendation there was for a summary of Chesapeake Bay restoration spending. The agency concurred in part but wanted to consolidate. The Senate rejected this provision for something you'll see later on.
Move to concur in the Senate rejection.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 54, going on to page 55, is the second piece here, the historical and projected Chesapeake Bay restoration spending narrative. That was also something the agency wanted to consolidate. The Senate rejected this so that they could then consolidate.
Move to concur in the Senate rejection.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On bottom of page 56 is narrative that we want to keep separate. So Chesapeake and Atlantic Coastal Bays 2010 Trust Fund. The agency concurred with that narrative and the Senate adopted it.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
On the
Motion
bottom
passes.
page 57, recommendation number 4 is for the whole Watershed Act funding report. And this is the final component of the report that the agencies wanted to consolidate. The Senate rejected this because there's a provision later on.
Move to concur in the Senate rejection.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, turning to page 58, there's an additional first house action there. It's a restriction of $500,000 until a submission of a Port of Deposit State Historical Park land transfer confirmatory letter. There is an additional color page item on page 16 of the packet, which would convert the language to narrative. So it'd be the same general topic in terms of Port of Deposit State Historical Park land transfer, but it would be narrative instead of the restriction of funding.
Move to reject the Senate decision and adopt instead the additional language on page 16 of the pink packet.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Back in the main decision document on page 59, the Senate adopted a Deep Creek Watershed Management Plan Implementation Report intent language, section 35 there.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Then on page 60, at the bottom of the page there, this is the Chesapeake Bay Restoration reporting requirements that have consolidated those 3 reports from earlier. The Senate adopted this.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Moving on to page 62 is additional narrative from the Senate. This is on apprenticeships for the outdoor recreation industry and natural resources industry.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 64 is the Maryland Department of Agriculture. First recommendation there is to level fund the Leaders in Environmentally Engaged Farming Program at $400,000, or it would be a $400,000 reduction, $500,000 for the actual spending level. The agency disagreed, noting that this would stall momentum of the program. The Senate adopted this provision.
Move to modify the reduction down to 200,000.
Hang on 1 second. This is LEAF.
So it's 900,000 is the budget. They had 500,000 from fiscal 2026. They were going to go up to 900,000 for fiscal 2027. DLS recommended level funding them at the $500,000 level. The concern was that they didn't have.
Okay, and the Senate agreed with the $400,000 cut, and we
Correct.
are modifying it to $200,000.
Okay, that sounds good. Yep.
That's what we believe is the appropriate response, because
Okay.
we want to allow the department to have the incentive funds they need to get this program started. My only question for us is, I thought that we had decided to not cut it at all. Is anyone else thinking, remembering that? Does that ring a bell with you?
The option was to split it and to come back at 200 and say, we'll give you some, but not the full amount. It allows you to grow.
This would have been over in the legislative building. Do you remember, Ryan?
It was halves.
Pardon me?
You wanted to have it, I think. That'll make a difference with the Senate, and then you'll make the decisions in conference.
Yeah, I think we were vacillating between the two, but I think you're right, 200.
Either way, you'll have a
That's
conversation
right.
later on.
We'll have another shot at it.
So 200 now, but you'll still talk about it. Okay, $200,000 reduction.
Go ahead.
Yes, move to modify the reduction to 200,000.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Second action on page 64
passes.
is restriction of $100,000 into the resolution of repeat audit findings. The agency disagreed, noting that they've been working with the Office of Legislative Audits. The Senate did adopt this restriction of funding until the submission report on those audit findings.
Move to modify to increase the amount of funding restricted to 250,000.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 65, there's one additional first house action there. It's the effort to support agriculture industry apprenticeships. So this is apprenticeships for agriculture. You saw it for DNR previously. The Senate put this in.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Moving now to page 67, the Maryland Department of the Environment. The first recommended action there was to delete double budgeted wastewater treatment plant operation and maintenance grants funding, to $11.1 million special fund reduction. The agency concurred and the first house adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Second recommendation is for narrative on energy use intensity costs related to the building energy performance standards. This was narrative to complete reporting that could not be completed previously because the information wasn't there. The agency did not respond. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
On page 68, is restriction of $500,000 until the submission of information on septic system regulations and guidance across jurisdictions.
Move to modify to decrease the amount of the funding restricted to 250,000.
This is also one that we wanted to have further conversation about, so all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes.
In the pink packet, page 17, it's additional narrative for your consideration concerning the Potomac Interceptor and oversight and water quality monitoring related to that particular catastrophe.
Move to adopt the additional language on page 17 and 18 of the pink packet.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Page 71 for the Maryland Environmental Service. The recommendation is to adopt annual committee narrative requesting a funding statement from MES. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Are we complete? Committee members, I want to thank you for your hard work. Especially, I want to thank our legislative analysts, some of whom are here with us in the room. And especially Ms. Norris, who has been our right-hand person on the committee. Her first year, and she's done a fabulous job. We also want to thank our first ever fellow, Sean McGinley, who is also here and has given us some really great analysis on all of these agency budgets. Our staff that has monitored and run the systems that we need to have our public meetings, including Livy Carey and Abby Furman. We appreciate you. And committee members. Delegate Harrison is our rookie, and I think we all know she's done very well this year, and we appreciate having you on board, as well as our minority member, Delegate Metzger, who's not a minority when it comes to us. We really appreciate his input. Delegate Spiegel, who stepped in and assisted when Delegate Edelson was on maternity leave. All of you have done a fabulous job for the public, for the Budget Committee, and we especially want to thank our trooper for taking care of us. And I say this often, but I really believe this is the best subcommittee in the House. And you guys have done an amazing amount of work, and we have more to do, but I just want to thank you since this is our last official meeting, although I'm sure we'll be meeting again soon. Thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair, just before.
And before we go on, we're going to just make one more motion to adopt the entire decision packet for transportation and the environment.
Move to adopt the full subcommittee budget.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Just before we conclude, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, I just want to thank you from myself, but also from the members of the committee. I mean, the reason that this is without question the best subcommittee in either chamber is because of the leadership of this subcommittee. And we are incredibly grateful to you for the way that you run the subcommittee, give us all opportunities to lead, make sure that everybody feels included. It's really a unique thing, and we owe the success of the subcommittee to you. So thank you, Madam Chair.
You guys are the success of the subcommittee, and I thank you, and I look forward to working with you the rest of the budget. We still have some work to do, and it's really an honor to be working with all of you, so thank you. Our meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Nice job.
Should we do a picture? No, I did that.
Just these two.
Yeah.
If you want to take a copy.